Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Hope you guys had a great weekend. How are we doing today?
Yeah, had a great weekend.
Oh, nobody cares.
Hey.
Nobody cares. Yeah. Is it? Yeah. You know what? I'm glad you did that. You know what time it is?
Don't do that.
It is finally time for the Los Angeles Clippers to take over Los Angeles and win their first NBA championship. Kawhi me a river, LeBron James. Yeah. How about that?
You're going to be right up here.
Boom. Here we
You've
go.
said that before. I like that. Kawhi me a river.
What you going to be doing?
Yeah.
Creative. Although, Skip, I don't know how Dame is going to feel about you doing that.
Yes.
Here's the thing. We do have playoff basketball today, but who has been the best in the bubble so far? Damian Lillard. Dame's hot streak in Orlando was capped off when he was named the unanimous MVP in the bubble over the weekend. Dame willed the Blazers into the A seed by averaging 37.6 points that included games of 42, 51, and 61. Shannon, did Dame deserve MVP?
Absolutely. I don't know really who else they could have given it to. You consider that he led the bubble in scoring. He was third in assists while leading his team. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were 3.5 games behind Memphis. And not only did they get to the play-in game, they ended up taking over the number 8 seed, which meaning they would only have to win one game. Skip, if you look at what he's been able to do, especially over the last 3 games, he goes 51-7, he goes 61-8, and he goes 42-12. That's a clip of 51 points per game, 9 assists per game. And they won those 3 games by a grand total of 7 points. He saved his best for last. 4 of the 8 high-scoring games in the bubble, he had those. He created the most points in the bubble, 61 points a game. Fourth quarter, Skip loves fourth quarter. He led in fourth quarter scoring. He led in fourth quarter assists. And he got his team in the bubble. And he caught some criticism because I thought he was like, well, if we ain't got anything to play for, I'm not going to play. And he was saying, give me an opportunity. If I go down there for these 2 weeks, 3 weeks, give me an opportunity to get my team into the playoffs, and I can live whatever results come of that. And he did it. He got his team into the playoffs. 89% from the free throw line. He was special, Skip. He was special. He showed you that he's a superstar, and superstars, that's what they do. When their number 2 guy, CJ, struggled in games, he brought him home. So for me, it was, I don't really understand who else could have gotten this award, considering that he was up near at the top in every statistical category as far as offensively. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. It was Dame time. The Dame Dollar, the great Dame, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, Skip. He's it now.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to get a new TV.
You need to.
I either got to get that or I got to get new LASIK, because I thought I was like 2015 vision, but something's wrong with my TV.
No, you
I
looking
saw
at the year 2015.
very, very different games than you saw.
Okay.
You carefully omitted all of Dame Time's flameouts, all that he did not do in the bubble. And you also failed to mention the guy who should have been the MVP, Devin Booker, who simply took over a much younger team than Dame's team and led it to 8-0, beating 7 of 8 playoff teams by a margin of victory that was 13 a game compared to Dame's and company's 3 a game.
Right.
So they just basically crushed everybody they played. And against the Clippers, who I think is the best team in the bubble, the Clippers, it goes to the last shot, and it became the shot, the most memorable clutch shot of the bubble was shot by, here we go, that guy over Paul George.
And Kawhi.
That's the one that I will remember as the shot. I give you logo Lillards and various dunks that would trend all over the place on Twitter, but that one was a money shot against the same team who clowned and ridiculed Damian Lillard for coming up so small in the fourth quarter and down the stretch against their backups. No Kawhi, no Paul George in the fourth quarter, and he couldn't even overcome the backups. With a 5-point lead with 2 minutes left, he lost to the Clippers' backups by missing a 3 and obviously missing 2 key free throws. So even against the Clippers, it was so shockingly different that's Devin Booker time. It's not Dame time. And I'm sorry, but I look at the totality of what Damian didn't do. And by the way, you just made a comment. He saved his best for last. Can I go to the last? Mm-hmm. Do you realize that in the bubble, over Damian's last 19 minutes and 12 seconds of 2 fourth quarters, one against Brooklyn, one against Memphis, 19 minutes and 12 seconds, he didn't score a field goal. The guy you say, it's not even close, it's a no-brainer, did not score a field goal for the last 7-12 against Brooklyn, and it was in a down-to-the-wire shootout. He scored 3 free throws that were bogus, unwarranted, wrong.
Are those points?
Yes, he got 3 points, but he did not make a field goal. And then in Saturday's fourth quarter, another shootout with Memphis, down to the wire, do or die both games.
What did he do?
Damian Lillard played all 12 minutes of the fourth quarter and went 0 for 1 from the field. 0 for 1 from the field, and you say he's the runaway MVP? What MVP goes 12 straight minutes without scoring a basket? I just sat there in awe. What MVP doesn't shoot in the fourth quarter? What MVP takes one shot in the fourth quarter? And by the way, guess who was lighting it up and saving his bacon? CJ stood for a clutch jumper because CJ hit the big 3 to tie with 3:08 left. He hit the big 3 to put them up 4 with 150 left. He hit another jumper with 121 to put them up 6.
CJ owed him.
And guess what? Carmelo finally owed him because he made the dagger shot that put them up 6 with 21 seconds left.
If you don't mind me asking, who assisted Melo on that play?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because Damian Lillard drives into the paint. I think, well, he's at least going to get to the foul line. And at the last second, he kicks it out to the Carmelo, who at that point was 0 for 5 from the three-point line. Is that the right basketball play?
Yeah.
It was just like a panic play. I'll throw it out there to Melo.
Skip.
Who wants to feed the guy who's 0 for 5? And I was like, don't do that.
Hold on.
He's 0 for 5, and he made it.
But you heard, but you hear Portland say,
wow,
they're not surprised by what Melo is doing, considering he's a Hall of Famer. He's this, he's that. So why not have trust? He's on the floor in the fourth quarter for a reason. That seems to be their closing lineup. They're going to have Nurkic, they're going to have Melo, they're going to have Trent, and they're going to have those 2 outstanding guards. Skip, you look at it where he didn't score a basket, but Dame Lillard had 5 points, 5 of 5 from the free throw line with 3 assists. So
what superstar shoots one time in the fourth quarter of a shootout, do-or-die game?
Skip, you saw him trapping him, getting the ball out of his hands. You saw that. And then
if you're a superstar, you cannot be trapped.
Yeah, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
LeBron cannot be trapped. Michael Jordan could not be trapped.
They said, look, we're going to make someone else other than Dame beat us. And Gary Trent Jr. hit some big threes. You mentioned CJ hit some big threes, hit a big 2. Melo hit a big 3. Skip, you can live with that if someone other than Dame beats you. But here's the thing. He averaged 7 more points a game than Booker. He averaged more assists per game than Booker. He shot the 3 at a higher clip, although shooting double the amount of threes than Booker shot. He shot 12% higher from the three-point line, though he doubled him up in three-point attempts.
Who shot better from the field?
Okay, so
Devin Booker, a jump shooter.
Skip. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to nitpick. Devin Booker was about 50.2. Dame Lillard was 49.7. So if you want to nitpick that, nitpick that. But hey, let me tell you how this game really came down to, Skip. I know a lot of people don't remember this. But the last game before we stopped playing, you know what happened, right? Portland beat Phoenix. And that was the difference in the ball. That was the difference between Phoenix not getting in the play-in game and not playing, Portland. As opposed to Memphis.
Doesn't count in the bubble.
It doesn't. But so what we did, what does count in the bubble, if you don't mind me asking, at the end, Friday, I think it was Friday, what did Phoenix do with their bags? They packed up and they went back to Phoenix. Dame Lillard had a game to prepare for on Saturday in which he won, and he's getting ready to play the Lakers on Tuesday.
Let me ask you this. What more could Phoenix have done in the bubble?
I don't know.
What more?
I don't know what it is.
No? Are you kidding me? They own the bubble. They control the bubble.
No.
They won by 13 points a game against 7 out of 8 playoff teams. The other game was against Washington. That is spectacular, and that was mostly about Devin Booker.
Dame Lillard scored more points than anybody else over the final 3 games of the regular season. Now, think about these great scores. Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, George Gervin. He's 20 points clear over his last 3 games, the final 3 games of a season, than any of the greatest scorers in NBA history. And they say, you know what, Dame? Skip, and he's playing 42 minutes. He dropped another almost 45 minutes. So he cannot rest. It reminds me of when LeBron was back in Cleveland, Skip, and he could only take 10 seconds at a time or 30 seconds at a time. Yeah, you see the numbers. 45 minutes in a 48-minute ball game, which is unheard of in today's time. But that's what he's willing to do. And he gave you, what did he do? Drop down on him? 31? Oh, this old measly 31 points. He make me sick, them old little pedestrian 31 and 10. What I'm supposed to do with that?
So, what am I supposed to do with what Damian Lillard did not do in crunch time again and again and again that Devin Booker consistently clutched out? What am I supposed to do with their first loss? Portland's first loss came to Boston.
Yes.
And in that game, thanks to Gary Trent Jr.'s 3, that's when we were first discovering Gary Trent Jr.
Correct.
They were first discovering him. He hits a 3 with 1:57 left to put them up 1 point. What did Damian do down the stretch of that game? Nothing. He took a shot with 53 seconds left, a 3-point shot, and he missed it, and that was to tie the game, and they lost by 4. So he came up very small in their first loss, first of 2 losses. Then came the Clippers loss, which I mentioned before. And remember, that's no Kawhi and no Paul George down. He barely played in the fourth quarter, and they were up 5 with 2:58 left. Well, if you're telling me he's the MVP of the bubble, it's only 8 games. That's one you have to close against the Clipper backups. How do you explain they lost by 5? They're up by 5 with 2:58 left. They lose by 5. How do you justify he is the no-brainer runaway MVP when that happened against a team that we all consider a challenger, a contender? How do you explain that with 41 seconds left, he did make a driving layup to put them up 2, but then with 18 seconds left, he missed both free throws, and Pat Bev and Paul George are all over him doing this to him because they don't respect him, because he hasn't yet earned the respect, especially in the postseason.
So what has Pat Bev and Paul George earned?
It just doesn't matter. They're looking at him saying, what have you earned, superstar?
Yeah, Dame was right. He just sent Paul George packing and made him go join a super team. That's what Dame has done.
In a crucial game for them, a game that they could have won, should have won, to just put them over the top with, so they wouldn't have had to sweat down the stretch. Then he has a 3 to tie with 9 seconds left and missed that. So you can't tell me MVP off that, and you can't tell me MVP off the Brooklyn game when he goes 7-12, the last 7-12, and he just makes those 3 cheap, undeserved free throws. That's all he did. And
he deserved them.
And that's a game that he even missed a 15-footer down the stretch of that game to put them up 4. That could have been the dagger shot. Again and again, he came up even smaller than he is down the stretch of these games. So he would have salvos of spectacular play, spectacular scoring, logo Lillard 3s, dunks, all sorts of highlight shots.
You told me the only thing that matters is the playoffs. One guy got his team into the playoffs, the other guy didn't.
Okay, but one guy had a leg up to get to the playoffs, right? He had a better record going in. He had a better chance. The other team couldn't have done better than it did.
Right.
This team went 6-2 to get into the playoff for the playoffs.
You say your guy, okay, in fourth quarter double-digit scoring, Dame Lillard had 5 of his 8 games. He scored in double figures in the fourth quarter.
All right.
Devin Booker had 1 of those games. Devin Booker was 11th in fourth quarter scoring. Dame Lillard was number 1. Book was 7th in assists.
And that was because they were crushing people. But when they had one close game against a really good team that was playing its stars to the close, he made the shot of shots, the one that we'll all remember. It was the most memorable and momentous shot of the tournament, because it said Phoenix has arrived.
Well, if you don't remember 61-8, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't remember 51-7, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't remember 42-12.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened at the end of Boston, Clippers, Brooklyn, Memphis? There's 4 games that you get MVP off of, and I'm just dumbfounded because I'm just sitting here. I'm not nitpicking. I'm just saying, show me.
Let me ask you a question. Did he arrive at the destination unscathed?
Unscathed?
Yes.
Well, his teammates took him there on Saturday.
Oh, the teammates.
Well, come on. In
Who
the
led
fourth
in
quarter,
scoring?
he goes 0
Who
for
led in
1.
scoring?
0 for 1 in the fourth quarter. Really?
Hold on. Hold on. I think CJ owed him.
Oh,
I think CJ owed him. Because remember how he was lugging around there with that bad back? And that man was dropping 61?
Well, now he owes CJ.
Really? Skip?
Yeah, really.
Skip, you want to do that?
Well, I just told you why. CJ made 3 straight clutch shots. Clutch jumpers, CJ.
Okay, he had the advantage because Ja Morant, although he was spectacular, he's not a defensive guy. And you see what they did. So whomever Ja was great, they put him in the pick and roll. And you heard what CJ said. He can't guard me. He can't guard me. So that's what you do. You find a weak link, and that's what teams are going to do. You got to find a weak link. The problem was, Skip, with Memphis, the reason why they didn't win this game, you got to make Dame, you got to make Dame work. You got to find somebody that can go at Dame and make him spend some energy on the defensive end. And Memphis didn't have anybody because Dame is going to take somebody. He's not going to guard Ja because Ja's going to try to, put him work and pick and roll him and try to get to the basket. So you got to let him rest because you can't play 45 minutes on both ends of the court. Nobody's been that good to be able to exert that kind of energy on the defensive end while trying to give you that kind of offensive output. But Skip, when you look at this, I like that trophy too. That little trophy Dave got. Hey, Dave, take another picture of that trophy and send it to your boy. Let your boys get another look at it.
Really? Oh, now you're his, right? You belong to him?
No.
I thought it was all about LeBron.
No. Skip, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Because what I have to do is that I have to put some righteousness on you. Because what you're trying to do is you try to diminish this man after this man
How am I
averaged 30.
trying to diminish?
Because he averaged 37 and 6.
Okay, just justify this for me.
What?
Mr. MVP.
Yes.
How do you go almost 20 minutes of the last 2 fourth quarters you played, the last 20 minutes in 2 fourth quarters, and you score no field goals and you're the MVP? How are you a superstar if you go 20 minutes? It's unheard of. It's impossible.
Hold on, Skip. Are free throws points? Hold on. And remember, you have, as great players, you have to find other ways to impact the ball game if you're not necessarily scoring at the clip that we're used to seeing you score. Did he not have a huge steal on Karis LeVert? He had another couple of steals on Saturday. So he's impacting the game, although he's not scoring. He's not impacting the game in which we're typically used to seeing Dame Lillard drop 22 in the fourth quarter or drop 15 in the fourth quarter. So he didn't necessarily impact the game with his scoring, but he did impact the game by scoring, by facilitating others to score, and by taking the ball away from them and keeping them from scoring. So his impact, his thumbprint was all over that.
That's called rationalizing.
Oh, my God.
I just want our viewers to let this sink in, that he went from scoring 61 points in a game to the last 7-12 against Brooklyn, then the last 12 minutes against Memphis on Saturday. That's almost 20 minutes of play in the fourth quarter, and he scored no baskets.
I'm glad Dame.
Wow.
I'm glad Dame is to the realization where he doesn't try and force it. He's like, okay, you want to trap me at half court? Guess what? I'll feed Greg Trent Jr. and let him bang your eyes out. You want to try to guys meet me at the rim with Valanciunas? I'm going to kick to Melo for a wide open 3. Skip, you make the right play and you live with the results. Now, you got to realize Melo is a top 20 all-time scorer in the NBA history. He has 3 gold medals. He's been All-NBA. He's been to the All-Star game. He was an MVP candidate one year.
I'm glad you brought that up. So Damian Lillard had Melo, that guy, future Hall of Famer, cinch Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And he had CJ.
Yes.
And he had Nurkic playing inspired after the loss of his grandmother, obviously, to COVID as he played on Saturday.
Yes.
And that team's... it's pretty good. Gary Trent Jr. looks really good.
Yes.
And Devin Booker had none of this kind of help.
DeAndre Ayton ain't no good?
He's starting to come.
Okay.
Is he better than Nurkic right now? No, he's not.
No.
Nope, he's just not. Sorry. Is he better than Hassan Whiteside right now?
Yeah.
Nope, he's not. I don't think he is.
I take beyond. But Skip, here's the thing. Is Dame Lillard, you do realize like Dame Lillard plays a team sport. So in other words, he's allowed to have teammates and they're allowed to do their job, which is sometimes they have to score, sometimes they have to rebound, sometimes they have to assist, sometimes they have to block shot, take charges. That's what teammates do. He doesn't play an individual sport. This is not tennis. This is not golf.
But this is basketball, and you have only 4 other teammates as opposed to 10 other teammates in your sport. Right? 4 other teammates. You are the superstar. You are the runaway, slam dunk, unanimous MVP.
Right.
And you need that much help in Saturday's fourth quarter to get you home. They just carried him. They just picked him up and carried him home. Okay.
Skip, it happens.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a quarterback. He doesn't necessarily have to throw for like 300 yards every game, but sometimes it's key first downs that he gets. Sometimes he scrambles, he uses his legs. And then sometimes he carries out a fake, holds the end, and the back gets the first down. Skip, you can't look at Dame and the guy's averaging 30. I mean, let that sink in. He's averaging over 5 threes a game. Can I interest you in that, Skip? That's 5 threes a game. Can I interest you in that?
I'd like to be interested in that in a playoff game because I haven't seen that.
Hold on.
Okay.
We're not talking about no.
We're about to.
Like you told me.
We're about to.
Wait a minute. You just told me when I said the reason why Portland was able to advance is because the last game before the season stopped, they beat Phoenix. You told me that didn't count. So the playoff doesn't count when it comes to the MVP of the bubble. So we'll discuss that at a later date and time. This is not the day, this is not the time. So right now, the bubble MVP is dollar.
Somewhere, Devin Booker is just shaking his head and saying to himself, I will remember this.
You know what we'll do, Skip? You know what? To make you feel good, to make everybody, we'll send him that trophy. Because we got bigger trophies that we tried to get to.
Really, you must.
That's what we try to do.
Yeah.
Hold on. Do you actually think we went down there seeking to win a bubble MVP? Is that what we went down there for? We went down there with the sole purpose of getting into the playoffs. He was able to lead his team. That's what he did. You can say CJ, you can say Melo, you can say Gary Trent Jr., Nurkic, all you want to. But without that guy's virtuoso, on 3 different occasions, they're not here. You know that. I know that.
No virtuosos. You got to finish virtuosos.
Skip Bayless.
They weren't finished.
Hold on. So you telling me a 51-7, a 61-8, and a 42-12 isn't virtuoso? And Skip, the man took 1 dribble past half court and let it go.
That's it. That did it. That won him MVP.
No, stop it.
Yeah. No, it did. Seriously.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
No,
a lot of people think that was the shot of the bubble when the shot that Devin Booker took and made simply beat the Clippers.
Skip, it's not the first shot.
Wow.
I understand that the Civil War started in the fires of Harper's Ferry. But that was the first shot. That was a shot. But that wasn't the war. That was okay. Booker hit a shot. Dame hit a shot. But that wasn't the playoffs.
Did Dame hit a shot against the same team? Clippers?
Oh, my
oh, my goodness, no.
So, in other words, I just want to know one thing.
Yep.
How long are you going to hold that against Dame? Are you going to hold that to him for the rest of his career?
This is over. This is the last time we're talking about this.
MVP.
But we are going to talk about his playoff resume, aren't we?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hold on. Is he retiring?
Yeah.
Is he retiring this year?
Wait, are you picking Portland to beat the Lakers?
That's what's hard for me, Shannon. This might be a little challenging. Dame, LeBron, round 1, game 1 starts tomorrow. I'm very intrigued how this will go for you.
No mercy.
So, over the weekend, Twitter has taken a run at Russell Wilson's goody-two-shoes personality. Jokes about the Seahawks quarterback have been trending that include saying Russ thinks drinking coffee is living on the edge. He plays go fish on team plane rides and says, dag nabbit. There are countless other jokes we don't have time to mention. Shannon, how do you explain this? What is going on?
Well, he's gotten a rep for the way he carries himself, Skip. He's very unique. I mean, he came into the league. Russell was married. And so the guys that, you know, a lot of guys come into the league, they're single and they're talking about one thing. Russ has a wife at home. So he's not engaging in the conversation that normally guys that are single coming into the league, 21, 22 years of age, that they're engaging in. And I was very mindful of that. Guys that were married, I watched the way I talked in front of them. He's also a man of faith. So the swearing and the things that are going on in the locker room, he's not a part of that. And a lot of times, you know, and you look at him like, well, hold on, bro, you know, and he wasn't engaging in that, Skip. But I think the crux of this, and this happens a lot in our community, and I think the people in our community that's watching the show understand what I'm talking about. There's levels to blackness here. And if you look at Russell Wilson and you look at Patrick Mahomes, they're a lot more alike than, say, Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson. The first 2 guys I mentioned, Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson, they're biracial. And so they're always being looked at, and there's a stigma that goes with our community.
Wait, who'd you say is biracial? I lost you.
Russell Wilson And isn't Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I don't think he is.
You don't think he is?
I'm pretty sure he's not.
Okay. I look at him and Mahomes.
Patrick.
Mahomes, yeah, I know Patrick Mahomes. I thought Russell was also. My bad. Okay. Sorry. I look at those two guys' personality is more alike as opposed to Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
And I think the thing is that when you're fair complected, when you're light skinned, people automatically think, oh, you think you're white. Russell has the good hair. You know, and this goes back to slave Skip, because when you're light skinned, you normally got to work in the house, and when you're dark skinned, you hit the fields. The light skin came from, you know, you probably had some of the master's blood in your system. And so we already looked at you kind of funny because we felt you were getting treated differently. And I think the thing is that that's how they view Russell in the Legion of Boom. And Skip, the thing that I love most about him is that he never, you know, moved away from who he is. He ain't try to be hard. He ain't come there listening to no rap music, get no tattoo, say, I'm down. That's not who he was. And he says he's embraced who he is. And if you look at the defense, the Legion of Boom, and this was the team that was carried by their defense, you look at Cam and you look at Sherm and you look at Bobby, you look at those guys, they kind of gravitated towards offensively beast mode. Here's beast mode from Oaktown. He's in your face. He's on the edge. That's how he is. They look at Doug Baldwin. Doug Baldwin was a guy that was undrafted. Fought your tooth and nail. And then they look at Russ like, you old goody two-shoes, bro. You up there listening to the old bull jive music, play Go Fish. Bro, you ain't one of us. You ain't down. But the thing is with Russ, he hadn't changed. And now, Russ got Sierra. They're like, whoa, how this corny? They look at him like, dude, how you get her? How? Why?
He did.
And he did.
Yeah.
So, Skip, I think that's the part of it that Russ, he just embraces it. I mean, but Skip, you have to understand, now he plays the quarterback position. And when you try to be something that you're not, guys see that and they call you fake, they call you phony. I don't believe this is an act for Russ. I believe this is who he is. He's embraced who he is. And I don't get the problem with why people think that, I guess because you're black, you're supposed to, have tattoos, you're supposed to be, maybe have your hair cornrowed or dress a certain way. No, I mean, this is who he is. What you see is what you get, and I'm perfectly okay with that.
Last night, Twitter wasn't. Although you can make the case Twitter was just having fun with it. It didn't seem too mean-spirited to me from what I read of that thread. But this label has hung over him.
It has.
His whole career. And just to frame this discussion, I appreciate everything you just said. I go back to Mike Freeman writing in the Bleacher Report back on October 22nd of 2014. This team is the defending Super Bowl champion after crushing Peyton and company. Right? What was it, 41-9 or
44-8, something like that? Yeah,
That
was a terrible game. I had to be there for that one.
You were. You're a Bronco by blood.
I am.
And that was a hard one to get through.
It was.
Okay, so they're coming off that, and now we're mid-season, and Mike Freeman, who is African-American, wrote for the Bleacher Report, there's also an element of race that needs to be discussed. My feeling on this, and it's backed up by several interviews with Seahawks players, is that some of the black players think Wilson isn't black enough. Okay, so we're going all the way back to mid-2014, and they're on their way to a second straight Super Bowl. And you definitely know what happened at the end of that Super Bowl. Pete Carroll said, I'm going to put the ball in Russ's hands, not in Beast Mode's hands. And you and I have gone back and forth, but the point was the play did not work. Even though I thought the throw was good enough to work, but Malcolm Butler undid it. And he snatched it in a Houdini-esque way that I've never seen happen at the end of a Super Bowl, certainly. And the rest is history, because the Legion of Boom, as you correctly pointed out, that was the beginning of the end of the Legion of Boom, because suddenly Pete Carroll was forced to, John Schneider, GM, forced to start to choose between the quarterback who, quote unquote, isn't black enough and the Legion of Boom who's saying, what did you just do, Pete Carroll?
Because prior to that, Skip, maybe a lot of that was pointed at Russ. But for the first time, some of that anger and vitriol was pointed at Pete Carroll, which had never happened before.
Nope. Okay. So now, here's what's fascinating to me about this. I get it. He can be a little goody two-shoes, a little lame, cliched. I get all that. And yet, can you be too religious? Can you be too good of a dad? Can you be too good of a husband? I don't know, because to me, he's really good at all the above.
He is.
And here's the flip of that. When he is on the football field, especially with the game on the line in the fourth quarter, he's hard.
Right.
He is as tough mentally. He has as much dog in him as anybody who ever played that position to me.
Yes.
Like Brady's got dog in him, but it doesn't manifest the same way. Russ just makes play after play after play, arm, legs, guts, will, giving up his body, taking punishment.
Right.
Man, you can't call him soft on a football field, right?
Right.
It's the flip side of everything I was reading last night on Twitter.
Because, but Skip, when you look, but there's always, and people like with Shannon race, but there's always a race element because Tom Brady's corny.
He is.
But that's expected of a white guy playing quarterback.
But not religious.
Right.
Yeah.
So you look at some of these other guys, and Peyton would do some things, but we see Peyton's personality. But it's almost like you're black, you need to act.
By the way, Peyton can be corny clever, like corny funny.
Yes,
it's actually funny where you
and
say,
he don't have a problem making fun of himself.
Correct.
And so I think that's what sets Peyton apart. But I think the thing is when you get a black quarterback and you're black, there's like, well, I want to see that blackness. But Russ is like, I'm a quarterback. Yes, I'm black. I happily embrace who and what I am. But I'm a quarterback. And I think quarterbacks act a certain way. And Russ has understood that I can't, there are certain things that as a quarterback of a football team, Skip, I can't do, say, like a cornerback or the running back or the defensive lineman. But there's always been levels to this where he or she is not black enough. Because, Skip, I remember, you know, if you were smart and growing up, oh, you think you white.
Yeah.
Anytime that you did something that, no, I just don't want to be, no, I'm not thinking I'm white. I'm just, I do my homework, I read, and so I'm educated. But there's always that. And we get that a lot now. We're getting that with Vice President candidate Kamala Harris. She ain't black enough. Or she with a white man. Her parents are this and that. See, that's how we do in the community. We just pick each other apart. Okay. What? For what?
So, do I think Russell Wilson curses off camera? Do I think there's a hidden side to him? I don't. I don't know that for sure, but I'm going to guess no.
Right.
Okay, so let's look at the flip side of this. I always tell you, when LeBron James is doing a public interview, national TV, and he curses, and sometimes he even uses the F word, I tell you, it makes me cringe because he is a role model.
Right.
He's I promise. And I think, LeBron, you're better than that. You don't need to. It's just gratuitous. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Right.
But it does get you this far. When he's on the shop, obviously, then that's at HBO. He's just going to let it fly.
Right.
But it does get you this. It allows people who love him to say, well, at least he's being real.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Raw real. That's real LeBron because off camera.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to drop some bombs.
Skip, I think the thing is that fans want to realize, well, how authentic or how real is what I'm watching is that person off camera. Is he really like that? And that's the thing, Skip. People want to know, you really like that? Does he really talk like that? Is that really how he feels? And when LeBron is speaking, they're like, he's doing this he's talking like this on camera. Can you imagine what he's talking like off camera? Skip, I've only met Russell a handful of times. I met him early in his career, his rookie season, and he, this is him. From what I gather, Skip, like I said, I haven't spent a whole lot of time around him, but what I've gathered, what you see is what you get.
Okay.
And, the videos, and he's buying his wife, and I don't have a problem with that. The man loves his wife. He found someone that makes him happy, that he wants to spend the rest of his life with. And the things that they do together, they seem sincerely happy to me. I don't, what is that? Well, because we see that a lot, and sometimes,
You never know.
Exactly, Skip. So I'm just saying if he comes off as that he really, truly enjoys his wife, he enjoys being married, and the guy can play. I don't get what the gist of it is, Skip. I can see I would have more of a problem if he was trying to be something that he's not, as opposed to being this.
Okay, just let me remind everybody, he's been to 6 Pro Bowls in 9 years. That's really good.
Yes.
In the 2 Super Bowls he played, he didn't just play pretty well. He played great.
He played unbelievable.
Look at his QBRs against the Broncos. It was 88, scale 0 to 100.
Yes.
And then even in the loss to Tom Brady, he was spectacular. He had a QBR of 93. You would be hard-pressed to find any quarterback who's played 2 or more Super Bowls who had QBRs like this.
Right.
He was special
in
both.
Yeah.
So you can't fault him as a player at all. And by the way, speaking of players, they just voted him not only into the top 100, they voted him number 2 to Lamar, who was obviously the runaway MVP.
Correct.
Okay, so the players are saying, we buy. We're sold.
Yes.
Okay, does he have enough street in him? When he plays, he does.
He does. He does.
Right?
And that's the thing, Skip, this street cred, and you try to be hard, or you didn't have any tattoos. He doesn't have facial hair, Skip. Yep. He doesn't have earrings. The man just goes out there and play. Let the man live. There's enough space for everybody. If you want to have dreads, if you want to have like Fitz, that's cool too.
Yep.
If you want to dress like Cam Newton, that's cool too. If you want to be Russ, there's a space in the NFL for all of us to be who we are authentically. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's who Russ is. So it never bothered me that he didn't swear. It never bothered me. So I just Skip, when you be in a locker room with a guy and he's a certain way, you just leave him be. That's your thing. Do you? I
admire him greatly for doing him.
Yes.
Because it's not that easy when you're stuck with that label, and I'm sure he hears it and sees it, and you got to have guts. You got to have courage to say, no, this is who I am, and I'm going to be there.
Cordell Stewart caught a lot of that, Skip, because he wasn't, I guess people didn't think he was down, and the way he spoke and what he did, and then he got labeled as being gay. So I'm surprised that, they didn't float that theory around with Russ. Because, if we're different, you don't know what a guy's doing, you float that theory around. So, Russ, do you, bro? Just keep balling out. You keep throwing 35 touchdowns with 7-8 picks. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
His confidence has always been very appealing to me. And the Seahawks have the 9th best odds to win the Super Bowl, according to Fox Bet. So just keep that in mind. We're going to go back to the NBA and Damian Lillard and the Blazers, because they are now officially in the playoffs and will face off against LeBron and the Lakers Game 1 Tuesday. While Charles Barkley and Greg Anthony both picked the Blazers to win the series in an upset, a panel of anonymous NBA personnel picked the Lakers to win the series in 6. So, Shannon, who wins this series and in how many games?
I wasn't on that panel.
No.
But I got Lakers at 6. I got Lakers at 6, Skip.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not giving them because I believe they can get 2 games because of Dame. He single-handedly. He was averaging about 36 points a game in the 3 games this year, and they were 2-1, Skip. So we know Dame can go bonkers. CJ seems to be playing himself through that back. Well, they've given him some relief. I don't know if he's taking a shot, an injection, or whatever it is, Skip. But he's played well, especially CJ was doing some things. I'm like, wow. CJ is normally the master of the mid-range game. Skip. He got a nice mid-range game.
He does.
But CJ was putting it on the floor between his legs, stepping back, letting threes go. I'm like, whoa, CJ, do it.
By the way, that transverse process injury, we've seen quarterbacks play through it and be okay.
Right.
So it's irritating, but I don't think it's debilitating.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know what those two guys are capable of doing. Skip, their offense is their defense because they've been putrid on the defensive side. They want the game to get into the 120s, the 130s, because they feel because of those 2 guys in the backcourt, they can match you down the stretch if that's what they need to do. And I've seen these guys make big shots down the stretch.
Yep.
Now, the Lakers' defense hasn't been good. Their offense hasn't been good.
Yep.
But I believe the best thing for their offense is possibly to play Portland's defense. Now, the question is, Skip, can they make open shots? Because Portland is really bad at 3-point defense. They're bad at all kind of defense. The question is, can the Lakers make shots?
Yep.
Now, Anthony Davis, his one shot, his playoff win came in a sweep against this Portland team. He was 33-12. He's going to have to be just that good. LeBron James is going to have to be better than what he's been in the bubble overall. He's had flashes. He's had games where he had 30 points, had 12 rebounds, but he hadn't had the assist total because the guys weren't making shots. So I'm gonna give the Blazers 2 games because I believe they're good enough to get 2 games. Nurkic is a monster. They could also go to Whiteside. The thing is that those 2 guys get in foul trouble a lot. Now, if both of those guys get in foul trouble, it's a different. They don't have anybody to challenge. It's going to be a highway to the rim. Zach Collins is a big, but Zach wants to play on the perimeter and shoot threes. He's not trying to mix it up down in the paint. So that's the thing, and you're going to have to take the ball out of Dame's hand. If CJ goes for 45, if Melo can make 30, if Gary Trent Jr. can get 20, you can live with that. But you know CJ can go get you 60. You know that.
He can.
You're going to have to find someone that can make him work. I'm not going to be surprised if Dion Waiters not playing 25 to 30 minutes because he's the only guy really that doesn't need, he can go one-on-one. They're not going to put him on Dame. They're not going to put him on Kuz. But they might have to put him on on Deion Waiters. And Deion can go one-on-one and make him work. You're going to have to make him work on the defensive end. You can't let him coast, because if you let him coast, he's going to have an abundance of energy to light you up on the offensive end.
I hear everything you just said, but I am predicting a sweep. And it's not by Portland, it's of Portland. It's a Lakers sweep. 1, 2, 3, 4, over and out for the Blazers.
I know what you're trying to do.
They have blazed a trail into the playoffs, and they're about to blaze one right back out of the playoffs in 4 nights or days or whenever they may. I think they'll be playing at night most of the time.
Tuesday, they go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
I don't trust 2 huge things about the Trailblazers.
What?
And I've watched them carefully. And the more I've watched them, the less I have liked them as a team. They were easily the worst defensive team in the bubble. It's not even close statistically. They're rock bottom, dead last. And against the Lakers, I know the Lakers have struggled to get back in rhythm offensively, but the firepower is definitely there. The potential is there. You know it, and I know it. In the last couple of games, we started to see them click and make some shots. And obviously, Deion Waiters can come in and take it up a notch, and JR can come in on any given night and light you up.
Right.
So the firepower is there for the Lakers just to have their way offensively. Now we're back to the guy, the superstar, the MVP of the bubble, Damian Lillard. Obviously, I've had my differences with him, and if you want to say I'm nitpicking him, fire away. But I'm going to back it up with facts. He hasn't shown me, especially over the last 2 playoff years, that he could be trusted in the postseason under the brightest lights. Because
he won 2 rounds last year.
Okay. Well, can I finish?
Okay.
What I've seen the last 2 times in the playoffs. Let's look at the biggest picture. Since he has entered the league, I told you this last week, he has the worst winning percentage of any single player in the NBA. That's not all his fault, but if we're talking superstar, he has a lot to do with that or not to do with it. And he also has the 2nd worst plus-minus in the playoffs of any player in the NBA since entering the league. Those are 2 scary stats when it comes to Damian Lillard. Okay. So let's go back 2 years ago to the first round. What happened? You mentioned it. It was a 3 seed in Portland versus a 6 seed in New Orleans. And what happened in that series?
They got swept.
Damian got swept. And what happened? Let's look at the overall of that. Let's see what he averaged for that series. He averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. That's exactly half of what he averaged in the bubble.
Correct.
Weird things were happening in the bubble, right?
Yeah.
We had T.J. Warren. We had people come out of nowhere and shock you with huge scoring salvos,
Michael Porter Jr.
Michael Porter Jr. But that, I think he could last.
Right.
But we'd see Austin Rivers go for, 41, right? And it just happened where it was just weird because it was a new dynamic, no crowd, sort of dark in there, kind of weird. We're not sure where the out of bounds are because we can't feel the crowd behind us. Weird things were happening. And I'm not saying that Damian wasn't certainly capable of going for 38 because he averaged 38, but he averaged only 19, 5, and 5. He was 38 and 10 in the bubble games.
Correct.
Okay, so what happened in game number 1? This was the game. It's at Portland. This is going to set the tone for the series. Well, it comes down to 15 seconds left. What happened, and by the way, Damian was in the process of going 6 for 23 in that game. With 15 seconds left, he missed a jumper to put them up 1. And I think we have this shot, if we could see it. Here it is. At the end of the game, this is the play he pulls off. He drives on Drew Holiday, and he has him. He has a step. And all of a sudden, he just decides to fall straight left, sideways, trying to draw a cheap foul when he had him. He had him dead to rights. And Anthony was kind of preoccupied. I think he could have gone hard to the rim and maybe gotten to the free throw line the straight up way. But he goes in and he falls left and he airballs it. And that's the end of the game. That's all you could do. And the ref just scoffed at him, laughed at him. I'm not going to give you that call.
Right.
Okay, so that set the tone because obviously at Portland, New Orleans survived the first game. And here we go. Game 2, Damian goes 1 for 7 from 3. Is that good? Probably not. Game 3, he has a long night again. He was 3 for 9 from 3. He was a minus 24 in Game 3, which was the worst plus-minus of any player on either team. And then in Game 4, he goes 1 for 5 from 3, and they lost those 2 games at New Orleans pretty convincingly. So that's a playoff series by a superstar.
Are you judging him then by today's standard? Because I just said over the last couple of years, I would look at Dame as a superstar.
Okay, that was his 6th year in the league, so he's not first time around the block.
No.
Okay?
But I don't think anybody thought Dame was a superstar. Skip, when you come into the league, yes, I mean, he was a lottery pick. But no, like I said, 6-foot guards, and we said, okay, they're going to lead a team.
He's listed at 6'2", for what it's worth. Okay.
So 6'1", 6'2", or below guards.
Yep.
We're not looking at those guys to take team to the promised land.
Okay.
Step is an anomaly.
Okay.
Isaiah Thomas were anomalies. But we don't normally see that, especially with not a big to go beside it.
Okay. So then you said he won a couple of rounds last year, which he did, and he played very well against Russell Westbrook, just outplayed him and waved him goodbye.
Yeah.
And on his home floor. Okay. Then he runs into Golden State with no Kevin Durant. All 4 games are close going to the 4th quarter. And in the 4th quarter, Damian Lillard shoots 31% from the field and 29% from the three-point line. 8 of 26 and 5 of 17. He's a minus 30 for those fourth quarters.
Okay.
Now, to keep this in perspective, CJ was even worse, and that's what killed them. But CJ was 4 of 20 from the field and 1 of 10 from the three-point line in 4 fourth quarters and in overtime. But in the overtime, it came at the end of the 4th game. In the 4th quarter, Damian was 1 of 3, 0 for 1 from 3. But at the end of the game, thanks to CJ, who got a hot hand and made a couple of shots, Damian drove first on Draymond and got it blocked out of bounds, and they got the ball back. So they get one last shot at the end of the game. This is 1.3 seconds left, and here we go. He gets a shot. Wait a second. That's the first play. That's the first play. Okay, this is the first play. It's blocked by Draymond from behind. Okay, now the ball's out of bounds. They get it back. Here we go again. And inbounds to Dame. And it's a hard shot. It's like a LeBron shot. I've seen LeBron make some of those. Yeah. And he was
I just saw him in the bubble make that very shot.
He did. He made that
very shot in both corners.
Okay, so again, they get swept by Golden State without Kevin Durant. And I keep saying, show me something. Just show me one game where you just flat out take it over and finish it and close that deal. I just don't know. The pressure is all, to me, on Portland right now because people are picking Portland.
No, you can pick them all you want to.
Okay, but Charles Barkley picked them, and Greg Anthony picked them.
Yeah.
And I read a quote in ESPN last night that one of the spokesmen, the head odds maker at Westgate, said people are enthralled by Portland in this series. They're just picking. They're betting on Portland like crazy.
Because here's the thing, Skip. These guys are picking Portland like you played a lottery. All you have to do is be right as once. See, Skip, if I play the lottery enough, I just need to be. Every time they have the lottery, which they have it like 6 times a week now. I just need to be right once. I can be wrong 5 times. If I'm right, I win. So Charles Barkley can get all the rest of the picks, but if he just wins this one, see, I told you. But he goes 1 for 10 the rest of the playoffs, and they lauded him. Same thing with Greg Anthony. That's not the way I look at it.
Okay.
They're still an 8 seed, Skip. Even though people are picking them, they are an 8 seed. This would be a monumental upset because we've only seen it, twice? Because I think when the Nuggets did it, it was the best of 5. And I think the Warriors did it to the Mavs, it was the best of 7.
Yep.
But normally we don't see best of 7s, the 8 seed upsetting the number 1 seed.
Okay. So obviously you lost Avery Bradley going into the bubble, so you don't have that perimeter defender.
Correct.
That hard-nosed, get-in-your-face defender who can defend one of the 2 guards, right?
Yes.
Or go back and forth.
Yes.
So we know that. We know Dame did go for 48 on, God bless him, Kobe night, right? After LeBron gave that eulogy to start the game. And maybe the Lakers were a little discombobulated that night. Maybe their minds weren't quite on basketball yet, but he went for a big 48 in their house in Staples. But remember, the Blazers lost Trevor Ariza, and he was one guy. I don't think he's afraid of LeBron. I don't know if he's too long in the tooth to defend him, but he would have tried and probably would have been semi-successful. So now it falls almost to like Carmelo. Can Carmelo go defend his
Melo, Zach Collins,
brother?
I guess Hazonia.
Yeah, Zach Collins turned his ankle the other day, and I have no idea. He didn't finish the game, so I don't know.
So,
but can Melo suck it up and at least bother LeBron a little bit? He's capable. He's capable.
This Wayne Gabriel, the guy from Kentucky, he played. So
he was pretty good.
He's a tall guy, 6'9". The thing is that, Skip, when you have bodies, you just throw as many bodies as you possibly can.
Yep.
And you just try to give him different looks. Sometimes you're going to come trap him, try to get the ball out of his hands. You make him a passer. You make somebody else other than LeBron beat you. That's what teams try and do. Make someone else. Let me see if Danny Green. Let me see if Caldwell Pope. Let me see if these guys can make shots. Because I know LeBron can get to the rim, and he's going to lay it up, and he's going to dunk it, and we're going to foul him. He get our bigs in trouble.
He's going to get to the rim like crazy. This is super highway to the basket. Now, Nurkic and or Whiteside are going to meet him, but three-point shooters are going to be open like crazy, and those two bigs are going to get in foul trouble quickly.
Yes, I'm trying to put Dame in the pick and roll.
Yeah.
I got to make him play, Skip. I got to make him exert some energy on the defensive end because I can't have him rested. So, but I look at Dame. I'm just going to say, Skip, I know he's been in the league 6 years. I'm not
now he's in his 8 years. Yeah.
I'm not going to say half of those he's been a superstar. I'm going to give him the last 2.5 years of saying Dame Lillard is a superstar. I thought he was a good player, knew he was an all-star game, all-star type player, but now he gets that level of treatment where, that's a superstar.
Okay, well, now he has the greatest opportunity of his career to show out.
No question.
Okay.
All eyes on Dame, all eyes on LeBron. I cannot wait to see who steps up, and it all starts tomorrow for that one.
No mercy.
After the Patriots' first full on-field practice with coaches, Bill Belichick liked what he saw from Cam Newton. Belichick said, quote, "Cam's a hardworking kid. He really is." Belichick also said all his quarterbacks have been locked in and focused so far. So, Skip, I want to start with you. What do you make of Belichick calling Cam a hardworking kid?
A kid?
Yeah.
Cam Newton, a kid? Are you kidding me? I got to tell you, I found this somewhat disrespectful on the part of Coach Belichick. I found this quote to have a little bit of a mixed message, sort of good news, bad news. He's hardworking, which he is and always has been, but he's still a kid to Belichick. And I want to remind everybody that Cam Newton is 31 years of age. And 5 years ago, he was the MVP of this league and carried a team pretty much on his back to the Super Bowl.
15-1.
Yeah, that'll work. And he has made 3 Pro Bowls, and he didn't win the Super Bowl, but you got to give him credit for at least having played in a Super Bowl.
Right.
So I call that a made man at quarterback, where you took a team to the Super Bowl and you were the MVP. I want to remind everybody that Bill Belichick always looks before he leaps when speaking to the media. Everything is premeditated, carefully plotted out. He does not blurt when talking to the media off the top of his head. Everything has a plan to it and often a message to it. So I believe that Bill Belichick was saying, this is my 2 cents from a distance, but carefully watched him below these many years. I think he's calling Cam a kid because he still sees a lot of kid, or at least what Belichick considers a kid in the football context. I believe that you know how Cam is, he's going to cut up in practice. He's going to have fun because he has fun playing football. And I think a lot of the rest of his teammates start to have fun too.
Right.
Obviously, there's the occasional wild attire. There are the occasional wild hairstyles. There are the occasional sort of strange and sometimes controversial social media posts. All of which run counter to the Patriot way. So I think the message being sent, calling him a kid, is, hey, here you need to grow up. If you want to be my quarterback, you need to cut out some of the kid stuff. You need to mature into what I consider, what I view a mature veteran quarterback. He is a veteran. He's 31 years of age, but he hasn't done it yet for Belichick. I just believe that after Tom Brady turned 30 and had won some Super Bowls, I don't think Belichick ever referred to Tom as a kid after 30.
Right.
So to me, the message was, okay, you're here, you're playing for me, you need to show me that you'll grow into what I consider a veteran NFL quarterback.
Well, Skip, for me, I didn't read nearly that into it. I mean, there are a lot of coaches that call the kid worked hard. The kid comes to work every single day and he puts everything. Because I've heard a lot of coaches refer to their players as kids. And normally, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Normally, it's younger players. I took a little bit of umbrage with what he said, hardworking. Like Cam is coming with a tag of being lazy.
You looked at it the other way around.
Yeah, I looked at him being lazy. And that was the notion.
No, I never got that.
Yeah, exactly. So why would you say the guy's hard like Cam isn't hardworking?
Oh,
but
maybe.
See, because Skip, that's the misconception. Like, well, we don't, Coach Belichick, we don't know how Coach Belichick and Cam is going to mesh. Like Cam was ever a problem in the locker room. And all those years, Cam spent 9 years in Carolina. We never heard that Cam was a problem in the locker room, that Cam was uncoachable.
Or off the field.
Or off the field. So the notion that he was going to come there and he might be a problem for Coach Belichick, why would someone assume that? You assume because of Cam's outgoing personality, where if he has an outgoing personality, he has to be a butt in the locker room. But it was the furthest thing. And
I never even saw an anonymous quote that said he was lazy.
Exactly.
I mean, that's like a racist label.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the only thing. But I don't really think Coach Belichick is meaning anything by it. Coach Belichick is almost 70. And although Cam is 31, he's still substantially older than Cam Newton. But like I said, Skip, and normally you're right. Normally that's a tag that coaches give younger players, first, second-year players, guys that come in and like, man, look here, the kid works hard. The kid has a nose for the football. The kid just make plays. So it's normally not something that you see a veteran player and a veteran coach tag a veteran player with, calling him a kid. But I don't really think Coach Belichick meant anything by it. I think Cam Newton understood from the moment he had the conversation with Coach Belichick, the moment he had the conversation with Josh McDaniels, Mr. Kraft, that he knows nothing will get handed to you in New England.
No.
Everything is a fight. You fight for your position. There are no handouts here. So in other words, whatever you get here, you have earned it. And that means you earned it for that week, Skip. It's not etched in stone that if you earn it 1 week, you get to keep it for the entirety of the season. That's not how Coach Belichick operates. And I think Cam understands that. For me, this label that hard working, because I think some people think that Cam, because of the way the clothes that he wears and the persona that he projects, that Cam is just, he's just talented. You know what I'm saying? Well, Cam is just talented. You see how they do that, Skip? See, that's what they do. See, you notice Christian McCaffrey. What they say about Christian McCaffrey? He's hard working. He's so cerebral. But Zeke Elliott is immensely talented. Like, Zeke doesn't work hard. You see, Peyton Manning. Oh, he's a student of the game. Tom Brady's a student of the game. We don't hear that about no Lamar Jackson, not a student of the game. Cam Newton, it's like they're just talented. Like black athletes, Skip, they're just talented. Yep. They don't work hard. They don't approach the game in the same capacity. So sometimes I'm like, you have to be careful because people look at that like, hold on. Are you saying Cam's just talent, huh? He got that far with just talent. He didn't work hard. Where other guys work hard. So you just have to be mindful of how it. Now, I don't know how Cam took it. I don't know how, like I said, I know his dad. His dad went to Savannah State. He's a couple years older than me. So you just have to be careful when you say things because they're undertones, especially in the climate that we're in today, Skip.
I hear you. Yet I'm still stunned that people continue to make the case that Jared Stidham is going to beat him out and be the starting quarterback. Your man, Charlie Casserly, you've known him for a long time.
I work with him. Yep.
He was making the case yesterday it could be Jared Stidham because in the preseason games last year, he had flashes of brilliance. Right?
So basically, Skip, you're going to have to evaluate this in practice because there will be no preseason games. It's not like, okay, Cam, Stidham's going to start week 1. You're going to start week 2 in the preseason. Then we'll determine who's going to be the third preseason because normally the third preseason game is a determining factor because normally your starters play to the half or maybe into the third quarter. But there's not going to be any of that. So we're basically going to have to find out who's going to be our opening day starter, Skip, in practice. We're not going to see anything in preseason games.
Okay. Once the real games start, it is laughable to me to believe that man wouldn't have a better shot at filling those shoes than Jared Stidham.
Yes.
I would pity Jared Stidham if you threw him out cold into game number 1, replacing the GOAT.
Yes.
Maybe Belichick wants that to happen because he would be the new diamond in the rough I discovered in the 4th round. He'll be my new Brady project, right?
True. Yep. But he also said, I took Cam Newton off the scrap heap. Nobody else wanted him. Look when I signed him. I signed him, late June, July? And look what I got. Because Coach Belichick, he likes what he would consider a reclamation project. If you look at a lot of the guys that he's taken, Skip, they didn't do well at the place. Kyle Van Noy got paid, But Kyle Van Noy got drafted by Detroit. Coach Belichick took him off, and boom. He did the same thing with Jamie Collins. Jamie Collins got big money from Cleveland. Couldn't do it. He comes back here, gets big money to go somewhere else. So Coach Belichick, he considered himself a mechanic that can take a car that about, man, this thing won't even run. And next thing you know, Coach Belichick has it firing and going down the road.
Okay. All I know for sure is that man wearing that number 1 jersey, if you throw him into game number 1 in place of the GOAT, he will not flinch.
No.
Trust me, he will not flinch.
Because if he don't make it with throwing the ball, he going to get out of harm's way with them legs. He still can run.
Yeah. But it would not be too big for him.
No mercy.
Damian Lillard's hot streak in Orlando was capped off when he was named the unanimous MVP in the bubble over the weekend. Dame willed the Blazers into the ace seed by averaging 37.6 points that included games of 42, 51, and 61. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is with us now, apparently joining us from the Hamptons. Chris, good to have you. I'm glad you're still able to join the show while on vacation. Tell me, did Dame deserve MVP?
Well, look, I've done television with Skip Bayless for almost 20 years now, believe it or not. And I know enough to know that just the fact that this is a question means that Skip somehow doesn't agree that Dame should be MVP. Skip, how? I'm sorry. And I love Devin Booker just as much as the next guy. He's the only other guy that could potentially be the MVP. But Dame averaged basically 8 more points, almost 4 more assists. And they both played tough schedules. They both played 7 teams that were in the playoffs. And Dame's 8th team was Memphis, which was in the play-in at least. And so you can argue Dame faced a little bit of a tougher schedule. But Damian was fantastic. And then he had the moments. You know, the 61, the 51, the 42. Like, there is no way as great as Devin Booker was. And yes, they were 8-0. But there is no way he could be the MVP over Dame Lillard. Dame, 44% from 3, and Devin only shot like 31% from 3. So Devin wasn't hot from the outside like Dame. So I just think it's clear-cut. It's got to be Dame Lillard. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Go ahead. You already
go. Well, it's Dame time. Go ahead. Name me up.
Chris, all you did was just echo basically what I said. You talk about a guy that averaged 37.6, so basically 38 points a game. He's almost 10 assists a game. And you look at fourth quarter scoring, fourth quarter assists. He led in that. He created 61 points per game. He led in that. I mean, he shot twice as many threes and shot 12% higher from the three-point line than Devin Booker. So if you want to nitpick, okay, Devin Booker averaged 50.2 from the floor. Dame was 49.7. Okay, Dame was 89% from the free throw line. Devin Booker was 94%. But other than that, and as you mentioned, the 51-7, the 61-8, the 42-12, he had every, and there were games that CJ did not have it. And if Dame doesn't give you 61, and you look at those last 3 games, those were the greatest 3-game stretch to end the season in NBA history. And they won those games by a grand total of 7 points. So they needed every 51, every 61, every 42, and then he gave you 12 assists. And then Skip, well, he didn't score a basket. I thought free throws count as points, but I didn't know that. But Skip changed the rules, so now free throws don't count as points in the fourth quarter.
Or bounces. It's got to be a switch, apparently.
What about that key steal he had from Karis LeVert? And then he had 2 more on Saturday from Memphis. Skip, I mean, I don't know how you look. I love Book, and Book put a number on your team, the Clippers. But if they had given this to someone other than Dame Lillard, after doing what he did in that bubble, nah, I'm like, nope, I'm done with the NBA.
Okay, it is my turn. And I am not going to nitpick here. I'm going to spit facts back at both of you. You both carefully omit all of Damian's flameouts, his coming up smalls through the bubble. They did lose 2 games, and Devin Booker lost no games with far less help, veteran, qualified help, than Damian had. And by the way, that help carried Damian on Saturday all the way into the playoffs past Memphis in the fourth quarter, and I'm about to get to that in just a moment. But the point is, that Devin Booker was extraordinary. They crushed almost everybody they played. They won by an average of 13 points a game to Portland's 3 points a game. They beat 7 of 8 teams that were playoff teams, and Devin Booker consistently came up clutcher than Damian Lillard did in the bubble. And you said the shot of shots. That was shot by Devin Booker against the Clippers with Paul George all up in his face. He made the most memorable and momentous shot of the tournament, as I call it. It was just the bubble tournament. We can see it right there. He's getting mobbed by his teammates, as he should have been. That was a shot. That's what I remember. That was an MVP clincher against the same Clippers who, without Kawhi and without Paul George in the fourth quarter, Damian came up smaller than I am. Damian, in that game, flamed out so badly at the end of the game that the Clippers shamed him. They clowned him. They humiliated him. Yes, they did, by doing Dame time to him and waving bye-bye to him because he missed 2 free throws with seconds left and then turned right around and missed the tying 3. I'm sorry, that's the same Clippers, except the Clippers against Devin Booker were at full strength. And then I look back at the rest of what happened in the bubble. How about that first loss to Boston? I dare anybody, just call up the play-by-play and tell me what you see against Boston, because Gary Trent Jr. came out of nowhere, this is early in the bubble, and made a 3 to put Portland up 1 over Boston, 1:57 left in the game. Tell me what Dame did down the stretch. He took 1 shot with 53 seconds left, a 3 to tie, and missed. And they lost by 4. And then I mentioned the Clipper game, and I'll give him this against the Clippers. 41 seconds left. He drove it and just laid it up off the glass. It was a nice play. But then with 18 seconds left against the Clippers, he got 2 free throws and gags both. And then with 9 seconds left, he has a chance to redeem, and he misses the 3, and he gets clowned by the Clippers. And then let's look at, shall we, Brooklyn, which we talked about on Friday, and then Memphis. Against Brooklyn down the stretch, the last 7 minutes and 12 seconds of the game. That's not 2 minutes, 7:12 of the game. He makes no field goals and gets 3 cheap, undeserved free throws because it was a horrendously bad call. And he makes his free throws. He's really good. He's not Devin Booker shooting free throws.
My goodness.
Wait a minute. Devin Booker made 94% in the bubble, and he made 88. So he's not Devin Booker. He's not quite as good. He's very good, but he's not that good.
No, he's not Devin Booker from the free throw line.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
Don't say he's not Devin Booker.
No,
I'm
talking about from the free throw line.
Okay.
I think he's Devin Booker.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that now.
Woo-hoo. And then what did we see on Saturday? We saw the runaway MVP, the Shannon Sharpe no-brainer MVP,
No-brainer.
play all 12 minutes of a shootout, do-or-die game against Memphis, and he takes 1 shot in the fourth quarter, and he missed it.
Did he make it count?
Well, did he make it count? He missed it. And I'm thinking, how does the MVP, how does a superstar go 12 minutes and take 1 shot? I'm dumbfounded. And again, his teammates carried him because CJ just took that game over. CJ, with 3 minutes left, makes a 3 to tie. With minute 50 left, 3 to put him up 4. 1:21 left, he makes a jumper. CJ stands for clutch jumper to put them up 6. And then Melo comes from nowhere. And Shannon asked me, well, who fed him the basketball?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Damian drove it. I'm saying, just get to the foul line. That's the only thing you can do. And he gets in the lane and says, uh-oh, I got to kick it. And he kicks it to a Melo who is 0 for 5 from 3. Is that the right basketball play? I guess so.
But that's Melo.
Because he made it. He made it. It's Melo. Hasn't been Melo all the time.
But that was Valanciunas. Now, Chris, now, if Skip would have said that foul Saturday, Grayson Allen did not foul Dame Lillard. He got all ball. He jumped, and they gave him a tech, and they gave him 2 free throws. Now, if you want to say that one wasn't a foul,
okay. You know what? I think the refs made it up. It was a makeup call from the previous game when they.
I will concede that one, but the other one. But can we just admit this, Skip? You can do other things to impact the ball game other than scoring. He had steals. He had rebounds. He had assists. He got to the foul line. You say LeBron go to the lane and get fouled and shoot free throws. Well, he did that, and you still criticizing him.
So we've got a flame out against Boston last 2 minutes. We got a flame out against the Clippers that's all-time bad. And then over the last almost 20 minutes he has played in the fourth quarters of the Brooklyn and Memphis games. 20 minutes of fourth quarter, he has scored 0 field goals, and we crowned him. Way to go, Shannon.
Does he have any points?
Just omit that. Sweep it under the carpet. Because did you see that logo Lillard shot? Wow, that's it. You're the MVP. Congratulations.
That you just poo-pooed, to use Rob Parker's word. I mean, when Dame penetrates, 3 Grizzlies collapsed on him. And then he kicks it out to a Hall of Famer, Carmelo Anthony, for the easiest 3 in the league, right? The corner 3. Hey, it's a great play by Dame. That is a fantastic play. That is 2020 NBA textbook 101.
Really?
Nowadays.
I fell out of my chair when Melo made it because I did not think it was going in.
Melo did earlier in the bubble. He hit a corner 3 that was pretty clutch
against the Grizzlies.
So, yes. And then here's the other thing, Skip. And I don't want to belittle what Phoenix did, but certainly early in the bubble, teams were taking them lightly. Portland was getting everybody's best shot from the get-go because Dame had already put it out there that, hey, I'm only here if we can make the playoffs. I don't even want to come if we don't have a chance to make the playoffs. And Phoenix, nobody expected anything from them. So they were getting light shots when Portland was getting everybody's best shot. And then when people realize, hey, Phoenix is here to play, it's too late. They're rolling and all that stuff. So you can't. Book was great, and this was his coming out party to the casual NBA fan. I love it for that reason. But Dame was clearly the MVP. And I love how you Shannon talks about moving the goalpost. CJ can mean clutch jumper, even though he was 0 of 6 from 3 against Brooklyn. But for Dame, because he has a couple fourth quarters where he struggled.
Wait, time out. Didn't CJ clutch jumper hit the clutch jumper against Brooklyn?
It was a mid-range jumper. Mid-range jumper. But three-pointers are jumpers, too.
Yeah.
And when CJ couldn't find the rim, Dame was carrying him.
Yeah. So if we don't get that 42, what good is that clutch jumper if we don't get that 42 from Dame?
Right.
And Dame hit him with that beast mode. Y'all know why I'm here. I'm just here to make the playoffs.
Some guys can do it in the first 3.5 quarters, and some guys can do it coming home. It just happens, and I don't think I made any. Did I exaggerate? Did I fabricate?
Yes.
Nope. No, I did not.
Is that where we're at right now? All right.
No mercy.
Damian Lillard and the Blazers are now officially in the playoffs and will face off against LeBron and the Lakers Game 1 Tuesday. While Charles Barkley and Greg Anthony both picked the Blazers to win the series in an upset, a panel of anonymous NBA personnel picked the Lakers to win the series in 6. Chris Broussard still with us. So, Chris, who wins this series, but in how many games?
Yeah, that's my pick, Lakers in 6.
Okay.
So I'm with that panel of experts. But, look, I think for Portland, we talked about their defense is atrocious. And as bad as the Lakers' defense was in the bubble, Portland was one of the few teams that was worse than them. And when you rely on the three-point shot so much and you don't defend, your margin of error is tiny. And that's why they struggled against Memphis and Brooklyn, because they don't defend. And then you're going against LeBron James, who they got absolutely nobody to cover him. Anthony Davis, they've got no one to cover him. I get it that Yusuf Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside are shot blockers that are okay at protecting the rim, but I don't think they're going to be able to protect it against those two. And they're obviously going to be able to get into the paint at will. And they also need, Dame shot 44% from 3 in the bubble, but Gary Trent shot 51% from 3. I don't think that's going to continue. I know he's the son of a former NBA player, but this is his first real go-round at this level. He's facing LeBron James, who probably he grew up idolizing to some degree. And I just think the stage, I don't know that he'll crumble under the stage, but I don't expect him to shoot 51% from 3. And so I also don't think the Lakers, while they have trouble guarding the perimeter, I don't think they'll be as bad as they were from the perimeter defensively and shooting it. They were the worst in the league from three-point range in the bubble. Yep. I think that'll heat up because they're going to get open shots. They're going to get a lot of them. So someday Danny Green's going to be hot for a few games. KCP is going to get hot for a few games. Kyle Kuzma, I think, is actually playing fairly well. So I just, look, Portland will make it interesting. Dame will have some big moments, but 6 games and this is over.
Go ahead, Skip.
No, I want to hear you. You're Nostradamus.
You know what I got.
Skip picking the Blazers?
Yeah, I'm picking the Blazers.
No.
Just wait.
I got the Lakers at 6 also. I mean, I've been saying 6 for a while because I believe Dame can win you 2 games. Dame could possibly average in these 6 games. Dame might average somewhere between 35 and 40. He's capable of that. But my thing is that I'm not going to let Dame beat me. CJ goes for 30 a night. Gary Trent Jr. gets 22 a night. Carmelo turns back the hands of time and beat Carmelo from Denver and his first couple of years in New York. Okay, I can live with that. But I don't believe they can consistently do that. I believe Dame Lillard can consistently get hot for a 7-game stretch because we saw what he just did in a 9-game stretch where he averaged 38 points and basically 10 assists. So I know what he's capable of doing. And my thing is I'm going to get the ball out of his hands as much as possible. I'm going to trap him as much as possible. I'm going to force him to his left. And the bigs must show. You cannot worry about the roll. Let him roll. Let Nurkic, let Hassan Whiteside roll. Meet him at the and somebody roll and take him and make him kick to the corners. But you got to take Dame away as much as you possibly can. And that's not an easy task because Dame has unlimited range. As we saw, he walked 1 dribble past half court, Chris. And you heard what you call Templeton said. He says, I don't care if that's Michael Jordan in the corner. If Dame Lillard has the ball, you guard him. That's what he's capable of doing. I got the Lakers in 6. LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is going to average about 30 and 12. LeBron James will be somewhere around 26, 27, and 11. And we win this thing in 6.
And I got the Lakers in 3. I think it's going to be so lopsided.
You see what he's doing?
So embarrassing that the Blazers will say no mas after 3 games and say, we're unbubbling and we're going home. We're sick of this and we've had enough of this. I'm sorry. The more I watch the Blazers, the less I like the Blazers. I'm sorry. The defense is pathetic. Statistically, it was bottom of the barrel for all 9 that they've played, obviously, in the bubble. And I just got to say it. You can say I'm nitpicking again, but I'm going to back it up with facts. I don't trust Damian Lillard on the biggest playoff stages because the last 2 times I've watched him carefully in the playoffs, he has gotten swept out of the playoffs, and I think he's about to get swept out of the playoffs again. Just big picture, I'm going to say it one more time. Since he came into the league, Damian Lillard has the worst winning percentage in the postseason of any player in the league. Not all his fault, but he's got to bear the most responsibility for that because he is a superstar. Now, 8 years in the league. Since coming into the league, Damian Lillard has the 2nd worst plus-minus in the playoffs of any player in the league who has played in the playoffs. I'm sorry, that's not great. That's not superstar. What happened in 2018 in the first round? They were the 3 seed, Anthony Davis and company, New Orleans, 6 seed. What happened in game 1? Dame was in the process at home of shooting 6 for 23 from the field. And at the end of the game, he had a shot with 15 seconds left to win the game. And if we could see this, he drives it. He gets a step on Drew Holiday, and I thought he's going to go up and shoot a little 5-8-foot jumper. And instead, he tries to veer to his left and draw a cheap foul and airballs it, begging the ref for a foul. And the ref laughs at him and says, nope, sorry, game basically
But
over.
you know that's his game, Skip. How many times have you done that on the 3-point line? You say he didn't foul him.
Okay, just go up and shoot it with conviction. Shoot it like you mean it. You're the guy. You're a superstar. You got to step on a very good defender. And Drew Holiday, you had him. And then what happened in game 2? Now they've lost 1 at home. He goes 1 for 7 from 3. He has 7 turnovers, and they lose game 2. They go to New Orleans. Game 3, he shoots 3 for 9 from 3 and has 8 turnovers. They lose that game badly. And then the last game, he shoots 1 for 5 from 3. They lose that game badly. And so for this series against Anthony Davis and company, he averages 19 and 5 assists. In the bubble, where strange things, according to Chris Broussard, were happening, it was a twilight zone. he averaged twice as many points and twice as many assists.
Yeah.
38 and 10 versus 19 and 5 in 4 games versus New Orleans. Then he played very well against Russell Westbrook last year, waved him goodbye at home. And then what happened when he ran into a no KD Golden State? What happened? All 4 games were winnable and close going to the fourth quarter. And Damian Lillard in those 4 fourth quarters and 1 overtime combined shot 31% from the field and 29% from 3. He was a minus 30 in those 4 fourth quarters and 1 overtime. That's horrendously bad by his standards. That was year 7. The New Orleans was in end of year 6. Well, now he's in year 8. Well, how can I trust him? I can't trust the defense, and I have to trust him to show me he can come up huge against LeBron and company. I haven't seen it from him before enough, and I don't think I'm going to see it now. I don't think they have anybody who can keep LeBron from the rim, and I think it will be slice and dice time. And unless Damian can come up big and close deals the way he didn't in the restart games, they're going to get annihilated and humiliated by the Los Angeles Lakers.
Chris, before you go, I'm going to ask Skip something. You said Dame deserved the most of the blame for the losses because he's a superstar.
That's what you told me.
Okay, well, shouldn't he get the lion's share of the credit for the wins because he's a superstar? Mm-hmm. Because you've been passing that around to CJ. You gave it to Gary Trent Jr. Right. You giving it to Carmelo Anthony. You talk about Nurkic had a 20-20 game. What about Dame? He's the superstar.
Okay, only against Memphis did I say he played 12 fourth quarter minutes of a shootout, back and forth, do or die game, and he only took 1 shot.
That's all he needed.
And CJ made 3 in a row huge shots from 3 minutes down to a minute and a half, and then Melo hit the dagger. I don't know. Where was he? How can you only take 1 shot and you guys give him MVP? I don't know. You're disqualified.
But hold on. You know, you do realize that one of the reasons they were in that situation because CJ wasn't playing particularly well. He had 15 points going into the fourth quarter.
So now Portland is a we?
I didn't say no. I said, was he playing well? Yes or no?
Say it again.
Was CJ playing well? No. He had 15 points heading into the fourth quarter. Dame had 26. Okay. He ended with 31.
Who kept coming up with big clutch shots at the end of games? It wasn't Dame. It was CJ and or Gary Trent. It was. Without
51, without 61, without 42-12, that don't even matter. No, Gary Trent wouldn't even matter. CJ wouldn't matter.
The deal. If you're that guy, you can close it.
You don't have to close it 100% of the time. Even the great Michael Jordan did not close them 100% of the time.
How about once? Show me one bubble game he closed that he just said, I slammed the door. I take it over, and you can't stop me.
I watched him in the playoffs. He do this to James Harden. Okay. I watched him do this to Paul George and Russell Westbrook last year.
And then what did he do to Stephen Clay?
Skip, you do realize that all they did without KD was revert back to a 73-9 team, revert back to a 67-15 team, a team that won the finals, that went to 2 finals without KD. That's what they did. So you make it seem like they just
Damian Lillard, end of year 7, not first time around the block. You better do that one. I kept coming in here every morning saying, I don't know what happened to them because I liked them. I thought they had a real shot to win.
If you look at it, Skip, when KD was there, they played better minus KD than they did minus Steph. When KD and Clay was there, you look at them and then look at them when KD was off the court and Clay and Steph was there. Because they were used to playing with one another, Skip. Stop trying to be like
that. Is he that guy or not? Is he a superstar?
Well,
Shannon tells me super, all in caps. Superstar.
He's a superstar.
Here's what I'll give you. If they do get swept, like you're saying, and I think that's kind of a ploy that when it gets to 5 games, 6 games, then you'll say, all I hear about are the Lakers, LeBron James.
He's trying to get Dame upset.
Right, the Portland team that doesn't play defense. That's what's coming when it goes 6. But I'll give you this. If Dame doesn't play well and they get swept in 4. Now, if he plays well and they get swept, so be it. But if he's, 22 points a game, 38% shooting and all that, and they get swept, I give you that a lot of what he did in the bubble will be kind of lost. Like people will they remember it, but it won't hold the weight that it does now. But if they go 6, he plays well, All of that stuff will be remembered. I will give you that.
He's trying to get Dame ticked off.
It's just a hot streak.
Chris, all he's trying to do is get Dame ticked off, because last time he got Dame ticked off, Dame dropped 61-8. So he's trying to get Dame ticked off at the Lakers. So because as much as he tried to nitpick on Dame, you know who he waiting to really nitpick on. Chris, we already know that, Chris. We know he waiting on old GOAT, but old GOAT ready.
Shannon Sharpe is on the hottest seat he's ever been on. He has such mixed emotions. He's rooting for Dame against the King. Uh-oh.
No.
This is trouble.
That ain't happening.
Here we go.
I don't know how you're going to handle it,
Can't wait.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
Dame averaged 41.
We'll have to wait and see. Chris, always a pleasure to have you. We'll check in with you again later this week.
No mercy.
Well, if you haven't checked it out yet, the brand new Fox Sports app and website are up and running, and fans are loving it. Modern and sleek, the ultimate app for today's sports fan is here. Download it now. Well, tonight, Luka Doncic and the Mavericks get their first-round series against Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers started. Kawhi will attempt to return to the finals with his new team, while Luka makes his postseason debut. And according to Fox Bet, the Mavs are underdogs at plus 450 to win the series. So, Shannon, who wins and in how many games?
I got the Clippers in 5. I believe the Mavs can win a game, Skip. The Mavs have a very, very good offense. It's just not very good down the stretch. Because the thing is, Skip, the shots that Luka take in the first 3.5 quarters work fine and good. But when you're down 1 or you're 2 points or you tie ball game, those step back 30-footers don't seem so good. And they have been very poor in the clutch. They're 18 and what were they? 8-19 in the games decided by 5 points or less. So that's telling me with the number 1 official offense and you're that bad in close ball games, that's telling me down the stretch you're not where you need to be. And Luka has to do a better job of taking care of the ball, and he has to get a little bit more. Skip, he's young. I mean, he's still he's a very young kid. Now, he's really a kid, Skip. But I think the thing is that the problem that the Clippers cause Luka is that they're physical with him. Kawhi gets up into him. Paul George will get up into him. Patrick Beverly will get up into him. And so they will get physical with him. And then who does he guard? You're going to put him on Paul George? You're going to put him on Kawhi? You're going to put him on Mars? I mean, who does he guard? So they make him work. Now, and the thing is that what I saw with Porzingis, if this Porzingis that shows up in the bubble, the last couple of games, Skip, it can be a series. Yep. He's going to need to give you 30. Because he's capable of that. That's the thing. He's capable of giving you 30 because Zubac can't defend him outside the three-point range. No. I don't think he can stop him down low. But so if he's going to give us 30 and 15, he can't be 18-9. 18-9 to get him swept. So I'm counting on Luka to be Luka. I'm going to say Luka probably give you something like 24, 10, and 8. But the key is going to be Porzingis. Porzingis is going to have a monster game or they'll get swept. But I believe they'll get one game, and I'm saying the series goes 5, but the Clippers win it in 5.
And I got my Clippers in 7 games, and that 7th game I predict will go down to the wire. To the wire. I'm about to explain myself. Down to the wire. And it may take old Lemon Pepper to have a hot wing in that game. He might have to close that one off. He may have to close that game the way he's closed Magic City on occasion.
Old lap dance Lou.
Okay, here we go. To me, this will be the Clippers' toughest series. And you can throw in Lakers, Nuggets, whoever you want to throw. This is going to be the tough one. And it's not just because the Mavericks have historically the greatest offensive rating in history of the NBA. Their offense rated number 1. I give you, they were 26th in clutch time.
Yeah.
So maybe we should call them the Dallas Dames. How about that? Dallas Dames.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I mean, really, they just light you up until the last couple of minutes, and then they don't light you up. They struggle. Is Luka going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? They don't know yet.
Bad shots.
Okay. My problem with the Clippers is they did go 3-0 versus Dallas, but they just haven't played enough together. Certainly in the bubble, they really haven't played enough. But if you look at all 72 regular season games, the full roster was together for 12 games out of 72. So here comes Montrezl Harrell back. He is literally a huge part of who they are, literally and figuratively. He missed all 3 bubble scrimmage games. He missed all 8 regular season conclusion games. And he's finally clear. He's back. He's ready. He's driven. Lou says he feels sorry for opponents.
Right.
He hasn't played a game since March the 10th. What am I supposed to make of that? Are they going to throw him in against the Mavericks? Is he going to find 5 minutes to play, 8 minutes? Who are they? Because they can't be sure. Because speaking of Lou Williams, he missed 3 of the bubble games.
Right.
He seemed to just now be getting his legs back. But do they have their rotation back in order?
Yeah.
Because Pat Bev missed the last 3 bubble games with a pulled calf. And you know, and I certainly know, you pull one of those things, and it can just be
touch and go.
It can be the B word, right?
Yeah.
It can just drive you nuts because just when you think it's okay, you push off one more time and it goes again.
What the basketball players do, that's all they do is sudden move.
I got you. And I don't know how much his health can be trusted going forward because he is becoming a very veteran player in this league. Marcus Morris just joined at the trade deadline. Reggie Jackson just joined at the trade deadline. Joakim Noah just joined now. So all of a sudden you got all these new faces and new ways and new sort of games to fit into a unity that they haven't found yet. I think this is going to be a struggle against Dallas because all of a sudden the stakes, the odds, the urgency, the pressure goes way up. You haven't seen this kind of pressure in those bubble games.
Oh, look, didn't Paul George say him and Kawhi got together?
I'm glad
and they've been practicing?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
That was my next point. What are you talking about? He said, we've developed chemistry during the hiatus because we live close enough together in Southern California. I could go visit him. He could come and visit me. Well, can you develop chemistry playing one-on-one? No. Can you develop chemistry playing video games or watching movies?
Yeah.
Probably not. You can develop rapport. You can, deepen your friendship. But the only way to develop basketball chemistry is to play 5-on-5 in games that matter, games that count.
It sounds like to me, if I didn't know better, I mean, sitting for where I am in my little comfy seat over here, I just heard a lot of excuses.
No excuses.
Trez just got back.
All
Lemon Pepper Lou. And we don't know what Pat Bell. And then we got this guy. And that's all that.
Well, I'm just telling you what's about to happen. It's going to be tough. Dallas is together. They've been together. I admire those guys. They make,
no, you don't.
If Porzingis starts making, he shoots threes like they're free throws.
Hold on. Tell me, every time I tell you that...
You said he's the next Larry Bird.
No. I said, every time I say Luka is the closest thing, Larry Bird, lightning gonna strike us. How dare you mention that guy in the same breath as Larry Bird? And Larry Bird was an assassin.
I also told you he shocks me with what a great below-the-rim rebounder he is. And obviously, I told you from day one, he is a gifted passer.
Yes.
He's not a clutch time, crunch time scorer.
Right.
But he can weirdly get in the lane and get to the basket because he's got this sort of innate sense, knack. It's like Rodman-esque. He knows angles and ways to get to the free throw line. He's not a great free throw shooter. He's definitely not a great outside shooter. But the point is, they have enough firepower if Hardaway Jr. gets going, which he can.
Finney Smith and Lieber.
They can get going. I just think they're going to make it tough on the Clippers, and it might be great tough. It might be fire test tough.
Look, Curry has his moments.
He does.
Has his moments where he can go off and get to 25, 30.
He just got back from, I think, an ankle injury.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a long series, maybe a good, hard series for the Clippers, but I do not trust them to come out and flip the switch.
I don't trust you.
12 times the roster's been together in 72 games, and now you're going into the playoffs?
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm not trying to do anything.
What you're going to do, you're going to say 7 games, then when they sweep, you see what the old Clippers, the bottom, the basement, the Wellers, you see what they doing. That's what you're trying to do.
All right, here's what I'm going to do.
What?
I am picking the Clippers to win the NBA championship. I'm not going to back off that, but it's going to be tough to get past Dallas, and then I assume it's going to be Denver over Utah, and so they'll get Denver next.
Mike Conley just left the bubble to see the birth of his child.
He did. Okay, so I don't fear Denver as much as I do Dallas right now.
You ready for
And I definitely do not fear LeBron.
I do not. With Jokic and MPJ?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and Murray? And Bo.
You got this?
Bo.
Yeah, you got this?
Oh, yeah.
We got some cases coming on this?
Sure do.
That one we got cases on.
Sure do.
Okay. I just can't wait. I do want to see Clippers take down Lakers, push them right down the stairs into the basement, falling on their face. That's what's going to happen.
It's kind of aggressive.
Like it.
Okay, we're just going that way.
No mercy.
Buccaneers receiver Chris Godwin said anyone doubting Tom Brady's arm strength is dead wrong. Godwin said of Brady, quote, he's letting that thing rip like he's letting it fly. There's a lot of velocity on the ball, a lot of touch, and there's a difference, you know. I'm glad people are talking down about it because I know the truth about it, and I'm excited about what's to come. So, Shannon, is Godwin telling the truth, or is he protecting his QB, Tom Brady?
He's protecting me. He's being a good teammate. I mean, what was he supposed to say? I mean, you know, I wish they'd ask him to say in reference to what. So how would you say his arm talent is compared to Jameis? Is the same velocity? But the thing is, Skip, is that it's hard for me to see a scenario with so many people that evaluated a lot closer than I do. I'm just looking at the TV copy, so I'm not going back and getting game tape because I have to watch too many games to particularly try to break down Tom Brady. But from what I can see from the game copy, and I know people that have broken Tom down via game tape, say his arm, he has lost some velocity on his throws. And that's okay. He's still, look, it's not like he was ever Brett Favre, Skip, and nobody's going to consider him Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady gets the job done because he understands defense and he throws with a lot of timing and accuracy. And so even if he were to lose, like Greg Maddux, it was all about placement. Greg Maddux wasn't busting a window with a brick, but he could pinpoint it here and here and here and dot I's, and you couldn't hit it.
And he could make it dance.
He could make it dance.
Oof.
And Tom Brady has such great anticipation that before the guy snaps his head around, the ball is on his way. So and the ball's there. He turns around, boom, ball's there. So, Skip, for me, I mean, I don't really know what else he's supposed to say. But I watched the tape last year. I watched the games, not tape. I watched the games last year, and a lot of other people. And it's, for the most part, 85, 90% of the scouts and evaluators said Tom Brady has lost velocity on his throws.
I loved what Chris Godwin said, and I believe he is not protecting Brady. He's just speaking the truth. Because the first of the quote is, over the last couple of years, you've heard people on TV, Shannon Sharpe. Yep. Talking about Tom, and they love to talk about how his arm is dying. Yep, Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe. Washed up rag arm, Tom Brady.
There's a difference between dying and dead. Okay.
So, dead. He's okay, there we go. Thank you. Let's go to dead. His arm is dead. So, Chris Godwin what I loved about the quote is he's acknowledging the skeptics, acknowledging the naysayers and doomsayers when it comes to Tom Brady, and he's saying, gee, I don't see it at all. He is letting it rip. I see plenty of velocity, just like I always saw from him when he was winning Super Bowls. And to your point, no, he wasn't Dan Marino. He wasn't John Elway. He wasn't Brett Favre. No. He had an above-average arm, but it was mostly about anticipation and accuracy.
Correct.
Got it. So now I look back at Tom Brady last year, and on 20-plus yard throws, which are considered deep throws, into tight windows, he ranked number one in accuracy in the league. So it had to travel at least 20 yards. Right. So there had to be some mustard on it, just something to have a little bit of juice on it, right? And he somehow carried what I thought was a below-average team, especially on offense, all the way to the 2 seed and had it in the bag until Belichick's defense upchucked it to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Then, as he went to Tampa, Rick Stroud, who is the voice in Tampa, he is the guru. He's covered that team forever. He knows what's going on with the Buccaneers. He reported that he was told by the top people in the organization there was, quote unquote, no discernible drop-off in Brady's arm.
So do I believe Tampa, as you told me, the team that has the worst win percentage in North American sports history? Or do I trust Coach Bill Belichick, who is the winningest?
That was about ego. That was about a guy, as you said, he's about to turn 70, and he said, I'm sick and tired of taking 25% of the credit. I want all the credit.
And Coach Belichick says, you know what? Had it not been for Tom, we could have had the number 1 seed.
Okay. So I ask you, Mr. Sharpe.
Yes.
Who on last year's offense could get deep? If you say he's spaghetti arm, he's washed up, who could get deep? Julian Edelman? Could he? I don't think so. Mohamed Sanu? I don't think so. I just don't think. N'Keal Harry?
Coach Belichick said we didn't call those routes because he couldn't throw it down there.
N'Keal Harry, he only played the last 8 games and never seemed to have any rapport with Brady. And by the way, N'Keal Harry is 6'4", 225 and ran 4.53, so he's not a deep threat. He's more of a possession receiver. Where can I go? AB was there for a minute, and you saw, he was getting it deep to AB like crazy, albeit against the Miami Dolphins. Josh Gordon was there for about 6 minutes because it was 6 games, and he looked like he had the proverbial piano on his back.
Yeah.
Show me a deep threat. Maybe Philip Dorsett, but again, they barely used him.
Skip, outside of that season in which he threw the bombs over Baghdad to Randy,
Yep.
Skip, that's not his game.
Okay.
You know he throws to the backs. He throws to the tight end. Wes Welker, he made Wes Welker a lot of money. He made Julian Edelman a lot of money. He made Amendola a lot of money. That's where he don't deep sea fish. He short fish. He right there catching them little ones.
Okay, but did he have a Tyreek? No. Did he have a Julio?
Skip.
Julio? No.
He's never had that.
Did he even have a Hollywood Brown? I think not.
Hold on. But you never gave those guys the credit they deserved until they weren't there, and then you realized just how good they were when he didn't have Hogan, when he didn't have Amendola, when Edelman was Nick. Now all of a sudden you want to get those guys. You know what? You're talking about.
Wait, you're talking about the 3 guys from Dorchester?
Yeah. Those 3 guys from Dorchester.
Yeah, that's where he found them.
Yeah.
They were in the stands one day, and he said, "Would you guys come down here and suit up?"
Okay.
And it worked. They stayed.
But hold on. And that guy that you talked about, he was number 1 in 20-plus yards, which is a big play. And tight windows, he was number 1.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's also 19th in QBR. You like that, right? He was also 27th in completion percentage. Yeah.
That sounds sort of Aaron Rodgers-esque.
Check down. Oh, yeah. Oh, Timmy Tong, what they call him. Don't hit me.
Really?
Jenny, they hit down here. Ooh.
Really?
Yeah, old Timmy Tong.
And he led them on a 60-yard drive for a touchdown that put them in the 2 seed in the AFC. That's sweet, man. That's a week off to get ready for a home game. And Belichick said,
all we know, this is what we know for 1,000% for certain. His last 2 home games, he threw pick sixes. Last one of the regular season against Miami, Eric Rowe got it. Old teammates. Old teammates. Logan Ryan got him too.
washed up,
Got it.
dead arm.
Got it.
Yep.
Coach Belichick said, I done seen enough.
Chris Godwin. Mike Evans.
Coach Belichick says, I can't carry you anymore. I've been carrying you for 20 years, Tom.
Really?
I've been carrying you for 20 years. It's time he opened the door and he reached across and opened the door, let him get on out.
And he walked right out of that door, right into heaven.
Yeah.
Down in Tampa Bay.
Coach Belichick said, I'm done. I've been carrying you for 20 years.
Evans. Gronk. He got the GOAT of tight ends.
He got Gronk.
Cameron Brate. O.J. Howard.
Yes.
I can go on and on and on. It's the most talent Tom Brady's ever had on offense in 20 years.
In other words, what you're trying to tell the people at home is that Tom is there for a great ride. Because they're about to pick him up and carry his butt.
Okay, you'll take that.
Oh, you
carried it all the way to a home Super Bowl.
They didn't carry him that far.
Tampa's in the home Super Bowl after winning the NFC South. Thank you very much.
Didn't Cam Jordan just tell you that wasn't happening?
Yeah.
Didn't he just
playing for second?
Yeah.
Right? That's on Tom's wall in his bedroom.
Good.
Yep. Here we go.
I am so looking forward to Shannon being wrong here. Like, I really, really cannot wait. And then Skip and I will actually be at the Super Bowl. Shannon, you can stay back here and do the show.
You're going to have to sit on this.
We'll be in Tampa. But
It ain't happening.
You're going to have to admit defeat at some point.
It's Tom time.
We're not going to Tampa.
No mercy.
Tonight on FS1, catch Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., and the Padres as they take on the Rangers. It all begins at 9 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Carmelo Anthony has played with a long list of superstars and MVPs in his career, but when it comes to Damian Lillard, he's at the top of that list. Melo said, quote, "I've never played with someone who lifted his team on the court with his play and as a leader. He genuinely cares for his teammates. What he's been able to do is amazing. He's the top guy I've played with." Shannon, is Melo just being a good teammate here, or is he telling the truth?
I believe he believes that, Skip. But just to put some context, let me go to the guys that he's played with. Now, James Harden. Now, Skip, he only played 10 games with Harden, then he was deactivated and subsequently traded away. But that season, James Harden averaged 36, 7, and 7. And from early December to early March, he averaged 40.
Yep.
Not over 9 games. He averaged 40 for about 3 months. And he had a couple of months where he averaged 44.
So the point is...
So I'm just trying to provide some context. I know what Dame has just done. 37, basically 38 points, Skip, and 10 assists. Okay, Russ. Skip, he do realize that Russ averaged a triple-double that year that he played with Russ, right?
He did?
Russ averaged a triple-double. And then he played with AI, who was also an MVP, averaged 34 a month. I think the thing is, but he said something very, 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 very important. I don't know if people captured it. He says he sincerely cares about his teammates.
Yep.
And I think that's what we got to look at. Because, Skip, and also, his experience in Houston, in OKC, wasn't what he thought or what he hoped it would be.
Yep.
And I think the thing is, I believe he thinks that James Harden might have had something to do with that. Skip, 10 games? How do you know what a guy can do after 10 games? That is Carmelo.
Yep.
And so I think the negative taste that he has left in his mouth from those 2 stops have something to do with it. But I believe he believes that Dame is the best player that he's played with. I believe that Dame's leadership. I believe that he said that Dame off the court caring about his teammates. So that's what I'm taking from that, Skip. I'm going more leadership and more off the court as opposed to, because, Skip, it's hard for me to say. James Harden basically averaged 37, 7, and 7, Skip, for a season.
Yep.
Not 9 games. And Russ averaged a triple-double. So I believe Melo believes that. But I also believe that the way that his seasons played out in those 2 locales with Russ and with Houston has a bearing on this, him saying this.
I agree. I believe that Damian Lillard has gone out of his way to be supportive of Melo and to honor him. And he said at every juncture, it's crazy to me that anybody could have anything negative to say.
Right.
He's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Just stop it.
Yes.
Okay? Melo is returning that favor now because he's never been treated with such respect as what Damian is treating him with. And it transcends what you can do. He talked about, I've never been around a player who could lift a team, but he's talking about psychologically, emotionally, as the off-court leader.
Right.
And I believe that. I believe that, as he said, he genuinely cares for his teammates.
Right.
I believe that.
Yeah.
That's one of the greatest things about Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
And that's why that team does love him. And he went out of his way to protect Carmelo, to defer to him, to try to fit him in, and sometimes let him do what you call his beat back down.
It is, Skip. And they're not signing Melo without him signing off, without Dame Lillard signing off on that.
Absolutely.
So that carries a lot of weight, Skip, because Carmelo was always, that draft class is LeBron, D-Wade, Melo.
Yep.
Those guys have titles. Those guys have been finals MVP. LeBron is an MVP. So Carmelo really has, and Carmelo's been an outstanding player, Skip. But when you in that draft class with those guys, look at Olajuwon. Olajuwon had an unbelievable career, 2-time Finals MVP. Skip, he's an MVP of the league.
Yep.
But who also came out in '84? That guy, Jordan.
Guy.
Charles Barkley had an unbelievable career.
Yep.
But that guy, and that's how it plays out. Sometimes you just can be. When you come in a draft class with somebody that's so transcendent that even though you have a great career, yours gets swept under the rug because of guys in that class.
So Damian Lillard decided from jump to go out of his way to help salvage the back end of Carmelo. Maybe this is the last year. He's talking about playing next year. And I won't be surprised if he does in this situation.
I hope he plays in Portland.
Right, exactly, because that's the one place to play.
Yes.
But now to your comparisons. With Allen Iverson beside him for that one full season in Denver, 07-08, Allen made the All-Star team. Duh. You know, he's going to. But he also played all 82 and led the league in minutes played.
Yes.
So he's still playing at a high level.
Yes.
Averaged 26 and 7 alongside Carmelo averaging 30.
Right.
And that team went 50 and 32.
Yeah.
Okay, Portland right now is, 35 and 39. So it's not the same.
Right.
You know, you can't compare. And yet that team got swept by the Lakers. I think this team is also going to get swept by the Lakers,
Right.
but that's just me.
Okay.
But it didn't end well for AI and Carmelo there. And then in that one full season in Oklahoma City, they went 48-34. That's pretty good.
That's still better than what they're going right here.
35-39. So wouldn't Carmelo want to honor that?
Right.
And you point out Russ is averaging a triple-double. And then they had that shootout with Utah, and Donovan Mitchell and Russ went back and forth.
Right.
It was like epic.
Right.
Utah won out.
Right.
Russ has not been extraordinary in playoffs.
Correct.
Okay? So, but still, to say this is the best I play with, nobody could lift a team, well, stop that.
Right.
But again, psychologically, emotionally, we get it.
And then what about Harden?
What about Harden?
Skip,
I know. It was just a minute, literally a minute. It
Yes.
was just a blip. So I don't even know how to qualify
Right.
it. I don't know how to pay much credibility to
Well,
it.
Carmelo, had you stayed in Houston,
know.
you got an opportunity
And,
to see
and CP3.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you had stayed in Houston, you got an opportunity to see something that you might not see again. A guy averaged 37, 77 for a season and have basically over a 3-month period where he averages 40.
Yep.
That's what James Harden did. He finished second in the MVP voting to Giannis, obviously. But he did that.
Yeah. So has it done my heart good to watch what Carmelo has been able to do
Yeah.
to resurrect?
Right.
Sure. Did I just like fall out of my chair and roll on the floor happy that Melo hit the dagger after he was 0 for 5 from 3? Yes. It was extraordinary.
But Skip, I mean, people say, well, I can't believe people said he was washed. But Carmelo led to that. Carmelo was not playing in those 10 games in Houston like he's playing now. He did not play in OKC like he's playing now. So don't make it seem like, oh, this is a fabrication.
No.
Y'all don't know what y'all was looking at. Go watch the tape. I'm happy for Carmelo, Skip. One of the first signed jerseys that I got is
Really?
the Carmelo Anthony jersey.
In
In Denver.
Got it.
I was there when he arrived there, Skip. Saw him play a bunch. So, but this Carmelo Anthony here has accepted his role.
He has.
Skip, they allow him at times, as you
They
mentioned.
do every once in a while.
And
it's like he tosses him a bone every once in a while.
Yes.
Here, do what you do.
Yes.
Right?
And nobody else was willing to do that.
Yep.
Harden, they didn't, look, get on the, shoot the 3. That's what we got you here for, to shoot the 3.
Yeah.
Portland says, okay, Melo, we want you to shoot the 3, but we'll let you do what you do.
Right.
Back it down and turn over one of those shoulders and shoot that ball away.
I give Damian Lillard full credit
Yes.
for making this happen.
Yes.
I do.
Yes, he's the leader, absolutely.
No mercy.
According to multiple reports, Dez Bryant will be working out with the Ravens this week. Dez has not played a game since 2017, but has reportedly stayed in shape, and his desire to make an NFL comeback has always remained. Shannon, will Dez be a Raven this season?
Well, he's going to work out. Obviously, they said it's been in the works for a while now, Skip. He'll be 32 in November. He hadn't played in a couple of years. I just don't know how well he's going to be able to function because Dez was not technically sound. And so basically, I don't see Lamar Jackson throwing up jump balls and hoping Dez win the 50-50 balls. I wish him the best of luck. Hopefully he slimmed down because he looked heavy the last time I saw him work out. Yeah. Hopefully slimmed down and he can contribute. But I think that just goes to show you what the Ravens are thinking, because AB was a guy that played last year and has more physical tools, I believe, right now than Dez.
And not going to happen, right?
No, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Ravens love to add veterans like Shannon Sharpe, right? To try to go win a Super Bowl with veterans. Calais Campbell will be that on defense this year. I am rooting for Dez.
So am I.
I think it's a long shot that he makes it and sticks. I thought he looked better in that video catching passes from Patrick Mahomes than you did.
Yeah.
But he has not played an NFL game since December 31st of 2017. And if you look at those last 3 years with the Cowboys, his catch rate, so you're throwing him all these passes.
Right.
He got 43%, then 52 and 52. So he's barely catching half his passes.
Correct.
You know and I know that will not work.
Right.
Could he maybe give Lamar another possession target, another sort of almost tight end type player? Yeah, maybe.
But, Skip, it's hard for a guy that's always been in number one to now all of a sudden he might get 3-4 balls thrown his way a game.
Maybe.
That's might. I'm not saying catch, Skip. I'm saying thrown his way. And with that catch ratio like that, Skip, that's one catch. Is he going to be okay with that? Everybody said, oh, man, I just want to win a Super Bowl. You want to win a Super Bowl, but you want to get your 10 for $150 and a couple of touchdowns, too.
So we just talked about Carmelo swallowing some pride, accepting his role.
Right.
This would be even worse than that.
It would be, Skip, because Dez sees himself, and he wants to show that he could still play at elite level. And I don't know if he's going to get an opportunity to show he can play at that elite level, because it's about catching balls. That's what we judge receivers by, not blocking. And you need to be able to block, because they're going to run the ball in Baltimore.
I'm just glad he's getting a shot.
I hope he makes it. I hope he cashes it in.
Yep.
Boy, 2017 was a long time,
Long
though.
time
I
ago.
mean, gosh, we'll have to see. That is it for Undisputed. Good stuff, guys. Enjoy the game tonight. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow. Have a good day, guys.